Hello and welcome to another episode of Growing for Wholesale Standards. We're going to continue our mini-series on field planning, and we're going to dive into irrigation. For today's episode, I'm joined with Neil Reed, and we're going to continue our conversation about irrigation and kind of field planning and all this preparation work that you need to do before you even start selling the wholesale market.
So for me, starting with a much smaller plot than where I've ended up now, growing for commercial and wholesale markets, strategy was to go out with my garden hose, the one I sort of started with, and walk to each plant and sort of make sure that there's enough water on the soil around each plant. And as I've expanded my operation, that becomes something that takes far, far too much time to do. It's just not workable. And so you need to, and some crops and some weather situations and climates, you really have to plan around irrigation to expect a full crop of number one, especially with commercial wholesale growing, you're looking for number ones. Irrigation can be a really vital thing. This summer, 2017, has turned out to be one where it was especially important for crops like peppers, winter squash, things like that, because we've had a couple of extended periods with no rain at all. So when you're thinking about irrigation, you've got your maps, and you've got a plan for which crops are going to go on which subplots and sections of your property, and you therefore have an idea of which crops are going to be sort of more important and more reliant upon that irrigation, where it's going to be more important to make sure and maintain even watering, so much water per week, so that you can arrive at the crop that you're looking for. Watering with the hose can be much less efficient than with a drip tape as far as the amount of water that you're using. Drip tape's very efficient. There's slots spaced on the drip tape line so that the water drips out only there and only around the plants. That it's a slow drip, and so that it's not fast to run off. It'll build up there just around the plant, and so it's a really super efficient way to do it. And then another, maybe most important thing, is that type of watering, drip irrigation, prevents splashing from water application around your crops, which is a huge step in trying to prevent against disease, especially fungal disease buildup. And so drip irrigation has all sorts of benefits in that way.
And when you're growing for wholesale markets, we highly encourage you to use black plastic around the base of your crops. And when irrigating your crops, this actually helps prevent mud from splashing onto the base of your plant, even onto the product, which just means extra cleaning and washing later down the road when it comes time to grade your produce. Irrigation also doesn't just mean turning on your hose and letting your plants get water. We talked a little bit about last episode scouting, and part of your scouting activity is looking at your plant's irrigation needs. Perhaps it has too much water, and this is causing maybe some downy or powdery mildew.
Exactly. That's something to keep an eye on throughout the season, and that changes. So having a drip irrigation system in place can help you react quickly and effectively to that sort of thing should it arise. And changing throughout the year, this year 2017, we've had a long period at the beginning of the year with lots and lots of water where we wouldn't need to run the irrigation, then followed again by a very dry period for a while where we would need the irrigation in place and did need it, and it helped crops develop through that period. Then another sort of chunk where it was cooler and much more moisture in the soil, and then now here again we're in an extended dry period. So you're implementing a system so as to keep your crops at sort of a healthy equilibrium through these dips, peaks and valleys of moisture, temperature through the year. Mulching, one note there too is that mulching is sort of a wonderful complement to this too. It helps you do exactly that, manage extremes as far as fluctuations in soil moisture.
Because mulch helps keep in the water at your plant's base.
Very much so. The water that, if your mulch is over your drip irrigation, the water that comes in under the mulch will stay there longer, be slower to evaporate. It will also, the mulch will prevent weed growth. Or suppress somewhat weed growth around there. Depending on the type of mulch it is, it can provide nutrients down to the crops. Lots and lots of, hard to overstate the benefits of mulch for me.
So if you're growing for wholesale markets and you're on over 10 acres, I highly recommend using the rain flow plastic layer. This also lays down a drip line in your mound while it's building your rows while laying down plastic. Pretty cool. If you're on less than 10 acres and you're looking to set up your own drip line, check out this video below. I joined Neil Reed on his farm at Spring Ridge, and he sets one up for his strawberry plot. Check it out. I hope that answers and kind of gives you guys a good idea of why irrigation is so important. And it's not just about turning on a garden hose. It's so much more than that when you're growing for wholesale markets. We have one more topic to cover, which has kind of been talked about a little bit throughout the whole mini-series, but it's all about the importance of pollination and why that even means anything when growing for wholesale markets. So stick with us. I hope to see you guys next time on Growing for Wholesale Standards.